You're probably here because you're finding it a little bit difficult in finding your way about leadership, finding your way on how to manage people well, and finding your way on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur. Any one of these things are the topics that we cover. I'm your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. I am so glad that you took the first step of being here to learn more about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management because the world needs more people like you. We will help you to invest in yourself because that's something that is worth doing. That is something that is worth learning. If you have questions about entrepreneurship, maybe you're having problems at work or you're having some leadership problems or managing other people, boy, I have news for you. We have what we call a masterclass. Most of the courses in the masterclass deal with how you can generate revenue online. It deals with leadership, how to lead in crisis, how to break through the crisis in business, in entrepreneurship, and how you can manage other people better. Now, I always say the best kind of investment is an investment in yourself. And how much money are we charging for this masterclass? Not a lot. And if you invest in one, it's yours to keep. And if it doesn't, I'll refund you, no questions asked, full refund. So why don't you try it out? Head on over to sean.c/masterclass and check out any one of the courses if it fits any one of the questions in your head. And if you have any questions, you can just put it on the comment section and we'll get in touch with you. We want to know who you are and we want to hear from you. Until then, keep leading. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me. It's another episode of Leadership Stack Live. And tonight, we actually have only a couple of questions. But nonetheless, they are really good questions. Thank you once again, Patrick Miguel, for being here, for also asking questions. I hope you're still learning a lot from these live sessions that we have. Before I start, if you guys are tuned in via Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Periscope, you may actually go to the link below and join the Discord channel and community. And that's where you ask your questions. If you have business consulting questions, questions about your team, questions about leadership, management, you can ask it there and I will do my best to answer them and address them. I also share some stories about how I do my own work, how I lead my own team, and some management tactics as well to help you guys out every week. So since this week we don't have a lot of questions, I'm going to start off by letting you guys know that we have new episodes right now on our Spotify podcast. And here it is. So we have just launched Why Time Management is a Myth and what it means for your business. So there you go. Let me just expand that a little bit. Yep, there we go. So we have launched this today. So if you haven't heard of that yet, if you haven't tuned into the Leadership Stack podcast recently, haven't heard this episode, that might be one episode that you might want to tune into, especially if you are having problems with managing time. So time management is a myth. I have said this quite often actually when I have been asked questions here on the live session. And the reason being, you can't manage time. It's 24 hours. It just goes on. But I'm not going to spoil the episode for you. It's just a 15-minute episode. So if you want to tune in while you're exercising, while you're taking a shower, while you're on the road driving, you can tune into that and listen. It is an audio podcast. And there you go. There's a question from Patrick Miguel, and he's here. Another episode that we launched this week is how to sell out your inventory when you're starting out. So we had a question that is actually a business consulting question. One of the people in the Leadership Stack community is starting out the business, and I was asked this question: how do you sell out your inventory? And it is a roasted chicken business. So that's interesting. And if you missed last week's episode about how to make your customers stay in spite of the crashing economy. It is here. It is a 14-minute episode. It is something that I learned a lot from, actually. So I had a guest with this episode and I asked him a couple of questions and I learned a lot from there. And I hope you will too. And yeah, that's part 4 of 4. It's a 4-part episode. It started from the how the man ran a company from a hospital bed. And it's so interesting because his company, his business is all about selling games, selling computer games, and he built it to, a little empire actually. And it's very impressive what he did. Listen to his story. We have the episodes out right now. And if you're a bit visual, although it is a little bit lagging behind, you can watch the episodes via YouTube. So we have the episodes on YouTube as well. Just look for Leadership Stack on YouTube. You will find the channel. You can watch the episodes there. It's all up to you. All right. So I'll be tackling the questions now. The first question is, how do you make your team meetings more fun? This is actually a very, very good question. And not because of its profundity, but because a lot of meetings suck. And a lot of people know this. A lot of people don't want to go to meetings. A lot of managers who run the meeting don't want to go to the meeting because for them, it's a waste of time. Whenever they're having the meeting, there are some people just fiddling on their phone, looking at some other place, or they're on their laptops or desktops and they're not listening. And right now, especially, we are doing meetings on Zoom. And there are some people during the Zoom meetings that you will notice they're not really paying attention. They are doing something else on their computer. And that's because it's so easy to be distracted and they allow themselves to be distracted. And so they're not focused on the meeting. They are not giving you that information. They are not engaged, and you need them to be. So, meetings, if you actually stick to the purpose and you actually have people who are honest, who are willing to have a healthy conversation and engagement, and maybe are even willing to engage in a little conflict within the meeting, that makes the meeting a lot more meaningful. And that's more important than fun, but consequently, it makes the meeting fun as well. So, a lot of meetings, what's wrong with them is they don't have an agenda. So it goes haywire. Somewhere in the middle of the meeting, things just go out. They just take a detour and you just don't know where it's going. And that makes it so difficult for you to actually craft something meaningful out of the meeting because every meeting has to have a call to action. Every meeting has to have a decision at the end. And there has to be a timekeeper and there has to be that decision keeper where that person is going to be the one to check, did what we talked about in the meeting actually happen? Was it executed? Was it done on time? Did we implement that? Because if you don't implement the discussion, if you don't execute on what you guys talked about in the meeting, what use is having the meeting? People will feel like meetings are a waste of time because they actually are. Because after all that talk, nothing happened. So, as the manager, as the leader, as the person who owns the meeting, what you need to do is set an agenda, stick to the agenda, also watch the time, make sure that you finish on time, and try your best to always start on time. And also make sure that you're not wasting time. If you look around the room, the Zoom room, since we're in a pandemic, look around the Zoom room and you calculate how much are the salaries of the people here per hour, per minute. And you're the one paying them. I'm CEO, I'm the one paying my people. It doesn't excite me when I think about how much money is being spent on this meeting and we're just wasting time or we don't have an agenda or things go haywire or things don't get executed. That actually matters a lot. So more important than how to make meetings fun is how to actually make meetings work, how to make them more engaging, how to make them more meaningful, how to execute on the meeting. So we have rules, especially now that we're doing meetings online and remotely. Some of our rules are you have to dress up, don't wear sando, don't wear anything that's distracting. Make sure you fix up your face. Magkilamos ka muna. Make sure that you turn on your video as well. That is one of the things that we ask people to do. Now there are people who cannot turn on. They can turn on their videos, and that's because kulang yung data or mabagal yung internet, and that's fine. So long as the alibi or the excuse is good, then it's fine. But generally, we ask people to turn on their cameras. We ask people to also focus on the meeting because we don't want to keep repeating ourselves. So these are just some. If you want to know all of the meeting rules and regulations that we have, I have a book on Amazon. You can download that. How to make remote work work. You can download that on Amazon. It costs like, I don't know, less than 100 pesos, I think. And yeah, just download that ebook, read it. All of the guidelines are there on how we're doing remote work now as a company in SEO Hacker and how you can do it for your company as well. Whether you're transitioning to a remote environment right now or you already are and you just want to improve your processes, I'm sure you're going to be picking out a thing or two based on how we do it here at SEO Hacker. So yeah, that's meetings. Meetings are super important. That is your job. That is my job. If we're the leaders and the managers of a team or a company, that is our job. We have to make meetings work. We have to make it engaging. We have to make it meaningful. We have to execute on the decisions made inside. Second question is what advice would you give to someone who is not happy with work but does not know what other thing to pursue in life? Well, first thing I'm going to be asking that kind of person is, do you need the work? Do you need the salary? Need it? Do you need it? Is it something that you would die for? Meaning, if you don't have salary, would you die tomorrow? Would you die next month? Would someone die? Would someone suffer in your family? Are you the breadwinner? Because if you need it, then that narrows down the choices, doesn't it? You can't just up and leave. But if you don't need the job, meaning if you quit, no one's going to die, you're not the breadwinner, so you can actually quit. Then my advice for you is quit your job. You're not happy with it. Find something else to do. However, if you don't know what it is that you want to pursue in life, I suggest go on a trip. Doesn't have to be an expensive trip, could be a camping trip, no problem. And try to meditate and think deeply about who you are. There's a concept that I have researched on lately. It's called ikigai. It's a Japanese philosophy about being in the center of living for you, relatively for you. So where the center of your passion is, your profession is, meaning your proficiency, you're really good at it, you're passionate about it, you're curious about it. The center is your ikigai, and you have to do that. That is something that you're called to do or you were made to do. And that is something that would give you fulfillment and happiness in life. Now, finding what that is, that actually requires you to be very curious. People who don't know what their purpose in life is or what makes them happy in life, I think lack the curiosity to actually go out there and figure it out. Because curiosity pushes you to try new things, read books, meditate, go to certain places, engage in certain conversations, try new professions. There are things that I'm sure that you would be happy to do as a human being because we are all designed to do something. Figuring it out is not that hard, but you can't be tied up to a routine and then figure it out completely. So you have to change something in your life. If you can up and leave and quit your job to go figure it out, do that. Because pursuing what makes you feel alive is more important than living life in a way that makes you unhappy. Third question: how should a small brick and mortar business pivot and go online with a small capital? Actually, brick and mortar businesses are they're very expensive. They're capital intensive, and operationally they cost a lot of money because you're paying rent, you're paying people to be there, you are paying for electricity, water, and other miscellaneous expenses that is involved in running that brick and mortar business. Unless you own the place and the people in your shop are blood relatives, but even then you'd have to pay them. So going online actually is a lot cheaper. So if you have a small capital, however small that is, actually you can do it. A lot of people went online and they just uploaded their stuff in Lazada and Shopee. Honestly, that's all it took them, and now they're selling. It doesn't cost them a lot. It it doesn't even cost them logistics because the shipping fee is shouldered by the buyer or is provided by Lazada and Shopee. Now, there are people who want to have their own native platform, meaning their own domain name, their own branding, their own website, maybe go Shopify, maybe do uh, WooCommerce in WordPress. That's going to cost a little bit in terms of capital, but you own the platform. You can do anything you want with it. It's very flexible, and you can still go to Lazada and Shopee. So a lot of people actually went that way. We have clients that we have helped, um, really popular clients also that here, at least here in the Philippines, household name brands that we have helped, and they have their own e-commerce platform right now, but they're also in Lazada and Shopee. Didn't cost them anything actually, or if it did, didn't cost them a lot to be in Lazada and Shopee, and they're selling a lot right now. And when you compare that to having a brick and mortar store, they actually have a huge upside because they didn't have to spend capital renovating, they didn't have to spend operational expense running the electricity, water, etc. It's just simply upload, take the photos, beautiful photos, upload them with the proper descriptions, start selling. That's it. So I think that a lot of small brick and mortar businesses could easily pivot their business and go online, however small that capital is. The next question is: what leadership trait is your favorite and how are you applying this to your company? My favorite um, leadership is all about serving. That is what I say to people who want to be leaders in my team. So there are opportunities for people in my team at least to step up and be leaders, and usually I ask them why. Why do you want to lead? Why do you want to be a leader? And if their answer is anywhere in the line of I want a better pay grade or I want a better position, I want to be recognized. That is the wrong answer for me. The right answer would be I want to bring more value to people in our team internally, people who are our clients, people who are shareholders, serving others by bringing value to them. That for me is the right answer. So I would say that my favorite trait in leadership is all about serving. So how do I, for example, serve my people? I serve them by making sure that they are paid well on time, by making sure that when all of this happened, we decided ahead of time that we're going to be working from home. We didn't wait for the lockdowns. We didn't wait for the virus to get worse. We decided actually before the lockdowns happened that we're all going to be working from home before anything was announced. So that is serving our people. Also, I serve my people by reprimanding them when they do wrong things. I tell them, hey, this is wrong. And if you keep doing this, we're going to have to part ways. So it's all about serving, it's all about being honest with them, having that will and desire to help them to grow and to tell them the truth. So yeah, that is something that I think a lot of leaders should have, because we are seeing a lot of leaders today, even here in the Philippines, where they treat it as a reward. I'm a leader because I worked my ass off to be a leader, and so I deserve to be here, and you deserve to serve me, and I don't need to serve you. I don't need to serve other people. I'm here because I earned it, and I'm gonna slack off whenever I want, and I'm gonna treat people however I want because I earned my way here. That is the wrong kind of leadership. That is the kind of leader that just makes leadership look bad. So we in SEO Hacker really do not like people who are that way. We don't promote them to leadership positions, and we avoid even hiring those kinds of people. So our hiring process is quite extensive, and we hire for the right fit. We hire for cultural fit and attitude. We don't hire for skill set. That is something that we teach, and really we are really good in teaching skill set. We are really good in training people. So we hire for cultural fit and attitude. And so promoting leaders who come from a really good culture, that actually it makes it easy for us because we know that these people, they're ready to serve. They know that we serve and they're ready to serve. Next question is, what is your self measurement of being productive and successful? For me, if I am able to actually be in a state of not wanting anything, that for me is being successful. So full contentment. I don't want anything more. I'm happy. If God takes me home today, I'm happy. I'm contented. That for me is the definition of success. A lot of people have different definitions of success. That is my definition. And so if I'm able to achieve that every day, then for me, I'm successful. For productivity, it's also different for a lot of people. Some people feel productive if they were able to um, create something new. For some, that would be graphic design. For some, that would be PowerPoints. Mine would be creating content. So it's mostly writing. If I'm able to write and publish something, I feel productive. If I'm able to do this, record content and publish it and help the rest of the world, I feel productive. If I am able to close deals, new deals, so I still do that for SEO Hacker. I still am in charge for closing new deals, then I feel productive. If I have good meetings that we know good decisions have been made and we can execute on it, that for me is a productive meeting. So I feel productive that way. So it's relative. This is relative to people. Some people feel productive just by exercising, right? So for me, it's a slew of different things, and I need to learn something new every day. So I'm reading right now The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. Um, Here it is. I am not yet halfway through the book, but I'm really enjoying that. So I read every day. I also read the book Letting Go. It's an ebook, so I can't show you the actual book. I just have it in my Kindle, but that is helping me as well. That is a self-help book that I'm going through right now. So that is that is something that helps me feel productive. Next question, how do you instill discipline and responsibility in your employees on a work from home setup? So this is one of the things that a lot of business owners struggle with. How do I discipline my people? Here's the thing, if you hire people who are not disciplined, they are going to figure out loopholes. So however strict you may be, however good you may be in controlling the system, in making sure that there are no leaks, there are going to be those kinds of people who will really take advantage of the loopholes. And they're not going to be disciplined, they're going to slack off, they're going to steal time and money and opportunity from you and the business and the rest of your people. So this is why I emphasize that the hiring process is super duper important. I keep on repeating myself on this, and you will keep on hearing me repeat this. And that is because this is true 100% for me. I learned this late, and I'm teaching it to you now. The hiring process is extremely important. Take the time to hire people who fit the culture you're trying to build. You cannot hire people who are disciplined and responsible out of the box. There are people who are more disciplined and more responsible. But if they don't like you and they don't like your system and they don't like the work and they don't like the culture, you will find that even the most disciplined and responsible people will steal time and money and opportunity from you. And they will do it with discipline. So make sure to hire the right people. That is how you do that. We have a question from Mark Davis. Mark, thank you again for being here. First question is, online delivery is booming nowadays. Do you think that they will replace businesses that have physical stores? I think that when the pandemic blows over, a lot of people will go back to going out, and that's because people like going out. That's it. People like going out, but I think that also a lot of people have adopted to ordering stuff online. And when I say stuff, it's a whole lot of stuff. So people who are used to having their groceries delivered online, assuming that finally the online groceries become very competitive in terms of price versus the brick and mortar, I think people will continue to do it online na lang, no? If the price is very competitive. But if it is more expensive to do it online rather than go out and buy it in the grocery store, I think that people will still go out and buy it from the grocery store. So it actually depends on how well the online deliveries will be able to adjust to the price range that people think is right for the product. So yeah, the biggest advantage of the brick and mortar businesses when the pandemic blows over is people want to go out and the price range. But I think if online deliveries would be able to achieve a better price range, people would just order online. I think we have grown accustomed and adopted to that. Going to our first full year this March, being locked down at home, I think that's going to be the case. Question number 2 from Mark is, what is the advantage of writing your own book? Well, for me, it is part of my bucket list to write my book and publish it, and yeah, have it out on hard copy. So I didn't think about it that I'm going to make a huge platform out of it, make a name for myself, improve my branding because I published a book. I didn't think about that. All I'm thinking about is, this is my bucket list. This is something I want to do before I die, and I want to write the book just in case God takes me home early. My kids would still know who I am when they grow up. That is actually the reason why I wrote the book CEO at 22. It's for my kids to still know who I am when they grow up, just in case God takes me home early. So it's not about business. It's not even about marketing for me. Writing that book, it's about legacy and it's about fulfillment. But definitely, it has a lot of advantages, especially for people who write books really to market themselves and build a platform. I think it's an excellent way to market yourself because there are not a lot of people who can actually say that they're an author or a best-selling author. That's actually even more wonderful if you're a best-selling author. So yeah, it has huge advantages. You can sell in the book your services, or you can get recognized that this is your business, or you can actually sell it as a giveaway, or sell it as a souvenir whenever you have talks. If you're a speaker, I'm a speaker. There are times when I speak without getting paid in schools, churches, nonprofit organizations. I don't charge, but I ask if I can sell my book, and that is also because the book can help people and help them to learn more about me and know more about my principles, which they got me anyway to speak on. So that has helped me to also get something out of the talk, monetarily speaking, instead of just going to the talk, delivering my talk, and going home, paying for the gas, and a luge. No, I would lose money and time instead of gaining whatever. And if I am able to sell the book there, I sell books there, then at least I have gas money going home. So that is one advantage of writing a book and publishing it. Next question is, how do you find potential investors for your startup business? There's a Facebook group, Startup PH. I think it's a closed group, so you would have to ask to join. I'm part of that group, and there are a lot of times when I see people asking for investors actually, or they're asking if there's anyone there in the group who knows an investor, and there it's not uncommon. So you can join that group and post your business idea there, see if there's anyone who can connect you to an investor there, and basically get connected. There are a lot of good folks in the Startup PH group. You might want to join that one. I do go in there to, sometimes I post a question or do a poll just to get the feel of the market. Yeah, so and sometimes I help out as well with some people needing some connections. Next question from Patrick: how do you overcome anxiety of sometimes comparing yourself with other people? For this one, I just want to say, never compare yourself with others. That is something that is not a good practice at all. There is nothing you can get out of that that is good. Because if you compare yourself and you come out better, you're just um, you're just pumping up your chest and makes you feel good in the expense of another person. Also, it makes you complacent. So that is not a good thing. And if you come out less than the person you're comparing yourself to, that makes you feel bad. So there is nothing good that comes out of that. I always say, do your own time. Do your own time. So if you've ever run a race, a marathon, triathlon, they only compare you, they record your time. That's it. They don't compare you to the other person running on your right or to your left. You compare yourself to the timestamp. For example, if you've done the triathlon race before in that same area, it's the same race. You just want to do better on the next race and do better on the next race. You want to keep improving yourself. Do your own time. Don't look to the right or to the left. Triathlons, there's a lot of people in the race. Usually there's a lot of people running that triathlon. And getting to the first place might not, it's something that some people would try to gun for, but those are people who are professionals. They're on the top of their game. But if you're just there to finish, do your own time. That is the more important thing, because that helps you to challenge yourself and improve yourself. And I think in terms of business and in terms of the marketplace, being a professional, I think the practice of doing your own time also applies. Just do your own time. Look at yourself. How well are you doing? Every race that you run, are you getting better? Never compare yourself with other people. Next question is, how do you maintain keeping yourself aligned to your purpose in life? Well, always go back to that purpose every day. For me, that is about reading God's word and praying, and I do that daily. So I keep in mind that my purpose in life is to glorify God. Whatever glorifies God, where He put me, that is my purpose. So right now, I am a businessman in the marketplace, and I have this platform where, I have this podcast, I have my blog, people read my stuff there. I have my books, people read my books. And this is where God put me. How can I glorify God in what I'm doing right now? That is my purpose in life. And for a lot of people, I know maybe the question was asked because a lot of people lose that vision, lose that alignment to their purpose in life. And the reason behind that is you do not look at your purpose in life every day. You don't, for example, if you're like me and you're a born again Christian, we are called to glorify God. That is our purpose in life. If you don't read the Bible and you don't pray daily, you will lose that vision. You will lose that purpose. And somewhere along the way, you're going to be blind and grasping on straws. And finally, you're going to ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I here for again? What am I living for? That is something that is super difficult, because that's going to spiral down to depression, apathy, and it's somewhere that you don't want to be in. And the solution is simple. Keep yourself aligned by revisiting that purpose and vision daily. How I do that? I read God's word every day and I pray every day. Next question, how do you keep growing yourself and not be stagnant on your present accomplishments? It's tempting to just sit back, relax, and just do whatever the heck I want. Honestly, it is tempting to do that. But I know if I'm going to do that, I'm going to be fat, unhealthy, stagnant, and on my way to death. So that is something that I make sure I avoid. So I still exercise, I still go out, I think a lot. Whenever I walk, I think, I do introspection, I meditate, I read a lot of books. So again, I'm reading Patrick Lencioni's book, and I'm reading a book, Let It Go. I forgot who the author is. I think Dr. Hawkins was his name. I couldn't find the book here, so I had to buy it from Amazon Kindle and download it in my Kindle. But it's a really good book. I'm reading that. I'm also finishing the book Motivate by Pastor Peter Tanchi. It's all about parenting. So I'm almost done with that book. And at the same time, I think, one fourth of the way with the book Principles by Ray Dalio, which is an extremely thick book. So I always read, I listen to podcasts, I listen to John Maxwell's podcasts. I also listen to Entre Leadership, podcast by Dave Ramsey's team. And right now, I'm actually on my way to getting certified as a John Maxwell trainer, speaker, and coach. So I paid for that. I paid for that certification recently, and yeah, I'm on my way to being certified this March. I hope that goes well. But I'm not. I really didn't think that I would be certified to do it as a business. I'm more of doing it because I want to learn how to lead my team better, and I want to learn how to be able to coach them and to guide them and to make sure they achieve their goals in life. That is what I want to do. So yeah, that is something that I do every day, and I grow myself. I hope that you guys also have a certain way for you to daily be able to grow yourself, maybe a schedule, a routine. Books, read books, listen to podcasts. Two of the easiest ways to grow yourself every day, just learning something new, and what you have now you can impart to others. And when you teach others, you're also teaching yourself and growing yourself better. That's how you remember things. Next question: how can you share with us a recent setback and how you recovered? Recent setback and how I recovered. I think one setback that I have recently would be in the negotiation table. So this year we were able to revisit some contracts with some clients, and they have financial problems. They weren't able to hit their quotas last year, obviously because it's the pandemic, but their principals weren't as forgiving, so they actually cut their budgets or subsidies, and that affects us because we're a third party supplier. We do their SEO and website. So that's a setback for us. I felt bad about losing some contracts this year, but by God's grace, we have also won. So we won some contracts, really good ones. By God's grace, again, that's a big blessing for us. So it's just like a plus and minus game, which I'm not that ecstatic about it, but I'm also not that sad about it because I know God gives and God takes away, and it's really His world. It's really His business. I'm just a steward of SEO Hacker. So I wouldn't say that I went down spiraling into depression enough for me to use the word recovered. So we had some setbacks. I didn't feel so bad about that. I just have faith that God is in control. And yeah, that's it. I'm holding on to that thought. Next question: how many businesses, this is from Mark, how many businesses are you willing to handle or create? I'm willing to handle one, maximum two at a time. It is very, very hard to handle businesses. Very hard. If you're the CEO, it's not It's not something that you can do and run another organization, because you're leading people, you're serving people. And when I say you're serving people, you're serving your team, you're serving people in your team, and you're serving your clients. And then if you have investors, you're also serving them as shareholders. So you're serving a lot of people just by having one business. If you're CEO, that's your responsibility. If you have two businesses and you're CEO of both, that's gonna be a disaster. That's gonna be super difficult. So unless you have a team that is really carrying most of the load alongside you, I can only handle one. But since I have an excellent team at SEO Hacker, I have my Exicom, I can run two maximum. That's it. And usually when I run two businesses as CEO, I'm already looking at who I can hire as CEO for the other business. That's actually my strategy, so that I can actually own many businesses. I like to own businesses. I don't want to handle a lot of businesses. I like owning a lot of businesses. That's it. So maybe for the next businesses, I would just come in as an investor, and that's it. How many businesses am I willing to create? As much as would impress in my heart. So there are a lot of opportunities, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of businesses that we can create, you and a lot of people can create. I can create a lot of businesses, but is it for me? Am I meant to do it? Can I be the number one brand with that business? Is it worth doing, considering that right now I already have SEO Hacker, which we are well positioned for? I dare say that we might be the number one SEO company here in the Philippines. We might be. So I'm just going to be focusing on that. Next question: what industries are you willing to put your money in? I have put my money in a lot of industries. So, but I'm not the one personally trading. I'm copy trading. I use eToro. If you're part of my email list, you know it. You see my gains there, and you see who I'm copying there in eToro. So you can actually copy trade the people I'm copy trading. And yeah, they invest in a lot. They invest in oil, a lot of US stocks, forex, and crypto. So technically, because of them, I also invest in a lot of stuff. I also invest in agriculture as a private investment here in the Philippines. I'm invested in sugar, um, and yeah, a host of other investments. So it yeah, but it really depends on you, right? I mean, it's not about me, it's about you guys. And my advice for you is whatever helps you to what however much you can invest, as long as you get to sleep well at night. If you lose that money, that's okay for you to invest. But if you invest money and if you lose it, you cannot sleep well at night, it's not okay for you, then don't invest that money. That is my rule for investing. Also, make sure that before you invest, you already have zero debt, you have your emergency fund, or if you're running a business, you have your safety net, you are insured, meaning if something bad happens to you, your family is going to be okay. And of course, you have a positive source of income or revenue. Make sure you have those things before you invest. Because if you don't have those things and you skip all those things and you invest, you're going to be penalized someday. Because if emergencies happen and you don't have an emergency fund, guess what? You'll pull your investments even if they haven't made money yet, and you get penalized for that. So make sure that you do the right steps in personal finance management before you do any investing. Next question from Mark: are you a gambler? No, I don't gamble, because my grandfather lost our family fortune in gambling, and my dad actually asked me to never gamble. He never gambled. I never gambled. So yeah. Have I been to casinos? Maybe you're wondering. Yes, I've been to casinos, but I never gambled. So I never even bought chips or whatever. That's something that I don't do. And that's because we have experienced the ill effects of gambling in our family. Do I have clients that are in the gambling or gaming industry? we also don't. We reject those clients, and that is because, again, as a founder, and because I own SEO Hacker, I personally have experienced the ill effects of gambling. So we turn those clients down. Next question from Mark: how do you budget your money? So, I how do I budget my money? 10% I give to God. That's set aside as tithe. God demands 10%. So that's I give it to God through the church every month. We have our house allowance, which I give to my wife. She's the one who manages the household. That's her allowance. And whatever is left, that is money that I could spend. But seeing how much I spend every month, I think I'm only spending like five 5 to 10% of what I make. So I save like 80-90% of my expendable income. I think that's what they call it. My expendable income. I save 80 to 90% of it. I invest a good part of it also every month. And yeah, that's how I budget. I don't actually spend a lot of stuff. If you've been watching my Leadership Stack Live and you see my background here, you'll notice doesn't add up. Like that's yeah, those are the figures I've had ever since we started. If there's something new there, it's gonna be like once every 2 months or once a quarter. There's something new once a quarter, and that's it. That's what I spend for. So actually, I don't spend for a lot. That's the truth. I invest. I love investing. I love seeing my money work hard for me. That is what I enjoy very much. Mark asks, who is Chauncey as a father? I'm a father of two young boys. They're 4 and 6 years old, and they're a big blessing. They have given me so much joy. They have given my wife so much joy and happiness. And I try my best to teach them about God's ways. So I always make sure that my firstborn, Leo, reads the Bible, and he reads it to Sage, my secondborn. And we pray together as a family in the lunch table. They know how to pray actually, so sometimes they're the ones who leads the prayer on the table. And if we have family gatherings, so what's most important for me is that they know who God is, and they see me working hard here in my computer. Whenever I'm here and they see me working, they say, "Oh, Papa is working hard," and I tell them that yes, someday you're gonna have to work hard as well. I teach them the value of working hard and praying hard and really wanting blessings. And when they disobey, I have to discipline them. So I give them 1 to 2 good spankings on the butt with a what we call a spanking rod, and then I ask them, "Do you want blessings?" Usually they say yes. And I tell them, if you don't have blessings, even if you work hard, you're gonna end up poor and hungry. So you better want blessings. And how are you going to get those blessings? And they're going to say, if we obey, if we honor, if we respect, if we tell the truth. So these are things that I make sure to impart to my kids as a dad, and I hope that helps for some of you are dads here listening in. Though that's something that I think you should just teach your kids to, your kids are going to grow up someday and they're going to be part of the population. And what I wish for this world very much is to have better people Last question: how do you manage your time? That's actually a very timely question. That's because one of the episodes that we have on Spotify right now, it is out and it has just been out today, January 21, is why time management is a myth and what it means for your business. So listen to that. It's a 15-minute episode. You can do that while you're driving, exercising, or even while you're taking a bath, and learn why managing time is something that you just can't do. And I have answered this as well in past episodes here on the Leadership Stack Live. You just can't manage time. It runs and goes on. You have 24 hours, and I have 24 hours. I don't have a minute more than you do, and neither do you have any one more minute more than I do. What you manage is your energy and your priority. And that's it. Listen to the episode. I'm not going to spoil it for you. that is published today. Look it up, Leadership Stack, and please, if you can follow us on Spotify. So yeah, guys, that is the last question. Amazing questions, by the way. Thank you so much, Mark Davis. Thank you so much, Patrick Miguel Len. Thank you for being here. Sarah, we are missing you. Where are you? And yeah, I have a question on Periscope, and the question is, how do you meditate? So actually, I use the Silva method, if you're familiar with that. And I just do deep thinking and I regulate my breathing and relax my mind. That is how I meditate. I also listen to an app, brain.fm. I am not affiliated with them. It's up to you if you want to download it. Brain.fm, I think, is paid now every month. But since I am an early investor in brain.fm, I have it for free for life. So that is what I listen to. And I use my Sennheiser noise canceling headphones, which I bought in Singapore, and that is amazing. So yeah, that is how I meditate. I hope that helps you out. And yeah, shout out to DJ Bulos, who is watching from YouTube. I'm a pastor and school administrator at the same time. Glad to hear your insights. Thank you for being here, Sir DJ. Yeah, that's it. And thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Mark. Thank you for being here. And thank you so much, guys, for those of you tuned in on Facebook and YouTube. I hope you can join us on Discord. The link is down here from thechon.c/Discord. Please join us. Ask your questions there, whatever it may be. Business consulting questions. Kailangan nyo ng tulong, nalulugi na kayo, paano ikutin ng business. Tanong nyo sa akin, no problem. I'll answer it as best as I can. Guys, thank you so much. I enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you next week. Cheers.